Well, there it goes, coming out swinging on Night Sounds from Kyshona. And believe it or not, Barry and Joe here with Kyshona. There she
Hey
is.
ho.
Woo! I can't believe it. Two wins here. Number one, we have Kyshona on. And number two, I said your name right.
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
And that second one is the hardest of all. Okay.
So you've been very busy, Kyshona. You got this album coming out. You got the song with Kevin Armstrong we just played there.
Yeah. Kelvin. Yeah. My little brother, Kelvin.
Kelvin.
Oh, Kelvin.
Yeah.
So bad. That's your little brother?
That's my little brother. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And the album's called Legacy. And is that out now or is it coming out?
Comes out April 26th.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Everybody's dropping like a couple months ahead. Okay.
Yes.
Springtime for musicians, for
Oh,
music
yeah.
lovers.
We are putting out one single a month leading up to. We thought, let's kick it off in Black History Month, with a little coming out swinging.
Coming out swinging. And
So-
it's got
so-
that.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Bear.
Joe. No, I was just gonna talk highly about Coming Out Swinging because it's got the drums in it. It's very current day. It's like that. It's not quite indie rock, but it's not quite blues. It's like the marriage of in between the two, kind of. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Soul.
We actually, we recorded it in Memphis with all Memphis local band, like local players. So.
Oh, really? Is that how you usually work? Like I have a question. Because you're doing all of your prep right now. Obviously, you're going to try to get out on the road to promote this.
Yeah, we're already out there. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so do you have a band that you bring out on the road with you? Or is it kind of like the studio thing where you're like, hey, I'm going to be in New York. I'm looking for some players who wants to come out.
Oh, no. The way that I've been touring the last couple of years has been with just a vocal trio. So it's me on guitar and then two other singers. And that's honestly how we started the recording of this record. We went to Memphis and we recorded everything with just guitar and the vocals first, because all of my song arrangements are heavily focused around the vocals. And I like to tour that way because not only is it more cost effective and space wise, but but I want people to really hear the lyrics that are written. A lot of times bands are fun. Bands are amazing because you get to show off the players, but oftentimes people get caught up in the musicality of it all. And what I really want them to hear are the stories and the messages and the lyrics. So that's why we tour that way. But when the record comes out in April, we're really hoping to be able to bring a band with us, at least to, a good number of festival shows or local, our local album release show.
Yeah, so this is more of a project bigger than an album. You're a storyteller.
Yeah.
So what is the story being told? Can you shed a little light?
Absolutely. This is my family story. I've been researching. Yeah, I've been researching my family's history for the last 10 years or so, if not longer. And I have a great Aunt Verna and my great cousin, we call her aunt, but my cousin Sarah, both of them are in their 80s. And they've been the family historians. But now I feel like nobody tells you when it's time for you to pick up the gauntlet. You just know it's time for me to pick up the gauntlet. So as my parents are getting older, I'm getting older, we're losing our older generation. Mm-hmm. This is my attempt of how can I take all of our family stories and put them into one project. And so this album goes from me. There are songs at the beginning of the record about my great, great, great grandmother, my great grandparents, my grandparents. And then there's a pivotal moment in the record that centers on me and my trying to figure out who am I in this storyline, because I am but a leaf on the tree. I'm just a leaf on the tree and I will one day fall off, right? But how can I conserve the story of our family so that my nieces and nephew can have something to hold on to? Yeah.
So when you were talking to your grandmother and your aunt, and you were collecting these stories from your family, how far back were you able to get? And did you do other research? Were you going to churches to look at church records to see who was born where and when and who?
Did you go to ancestry.com and do a little search?
Yeah, dude. How in depth did you get into trying to research the story of your family? Because it's fascinating. My cousin did this whole thing for our family too, back way
Mm-hmm.
before like Ancestry. And
He
I
didn't make
I
an
think
album.
it's fascinating.
It wasn't a record.
It wasn't a right. No, it wasn't a record. He was just
Yeah.
like put together our family tree. But how far back were you able to get like historically with those stories?
Yeah, so I had a lot of help from the African American Museum of History, the Smithsonian, up in Washington, D.C.
Oh, which is awesome, by the way.
It's
I love
amazing.
It. Oh, it's amazing. Oh,
yeah, and they actually have a department that is. It is a. When I went to visit last year, 2 years ago, there's a whole department that they have for genealogy, and their whole purpose is to help Black people find their roots. So it's just an email. It was free at the time. So I just emailed the genealogist, and she showed me how to go the steps further than what my great aunts could do. So, we have a document in the family already dating back to my great grandmother, Margaret Irby. And that's from just the family. Yeah.
That's like 150 years. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a long time already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead. Keep going. This is fascinating.
So my great grandma Margaret, we have her name and information. Also, our family kept a Bible with a lot of birth dates and whatnot in there, and so they just took what was in the Bible and then put it in a document form. But this genealogist showed me how to look through, yes, you can look at grave sites, going to, it's like, where's my gravestone? Or there's also looking through wills, but having to look at the wills of the slave owners who own my ancestors, and looking at slave schedules. And so, to be honest, that's kind of where I am. That's where I've stopped. So I don't know the name of my great grandma Margaret's mother. I don't know who her parents were, because we can't even find documents of great grandma Margaret, because she's just a number on a slave schedule listed next to, grains of rice. It says Negro child, 9/11 or 11, So then it's the mystery of is which of these 9-year-old girls or this 11-year-old girl might be her. So it's been a very hard journey, a very taxing journey. But it's also talking to my great uncles and my great aunts and getting as many stories as I can from them that they were told, and piecing together everyone's individual, what they heard as kids, and trying to put a whole story together. So it's a journey. It's been a journey.
Far out, man. The internet, man. You're the generation before you could not probably do this, and then here you are, clicking and dragging and learning everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because my great aunt Sarah on my dad's side, this was back in the 90s, before African Ancestry, before Ancestry.com. She had gotten in touch with a Harvard professor who was he was just starting to do the DNA testing. Oh, wow. So back in the 90s, she was one of the first people to do the DNA testing. So at least we know on that side of the family what tribe we come from the Cameroon area. We don't have names, but we know at least this is where our people were taken from.
Yeah, you were able to at least get, like the country of origin. So that gives you at least something to know about your family's heritage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But how are you able to translate those stories? Because a lot of those stories are about hardship and separation. How do you translate that into the uplifting music that you're making? Because that's the disconnect there. It's a lot of hard stories that you're trying to find.
Soul in there. I can hear it in your song. I can hear it when you're singing.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's what Blackness is, finding the joy even in hardship. That is what it is to be an African American in this country. You are always finding what the powerful moments are. You're always finding the moments to celebrate within the hardships. And so that's what this record is. This is, yes, my family has this dark side of us that is heavy, South Carolina, formerly enslaved people, but also they were people who had love. They were people who had, dreams and they really strive to own land. That was something that my great grandparents instilled in my parents and their parents. And that's been instilled in me. And that is what I'm holding on to. You know, that's the story I want to tell, that we're not just the sad stories. It is also these stories of overcoming, these stories of love, of celebration, faith.
Well, but that isn't that the through line? Isn't love the through line? You know, I feel like people want to diminish it a little bit. You know, we get all the love stories and the love songs and stuff, but you know, on a deeper level, it's the thing that keeps us going in life, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is what we're hoping with this legacy project. My story, this album, the first album, that is just the first step. And the hope is that we're showing people what our commonalities are amongst, you know, between our races, between our backgrounds. We all come from someone. We all have people that have loved us. We all have stories of overcoming. And so the next phase of this project is then going out into the communities as I'm on tour now. And how can we get communities together in a space and have our elders talking to our youth and telling the stories of the community? Because a lot of times our history is being paved over, you know, especially in a town like Nashville. Our historical landmarks are being paved over. And the only people who know what happened in this town before the big buildings are those that were here. So they are our living, that's our living legacy. So we must collect the stories, get them talking to one another, and turning these stories into songs. And that will be the next phase of this legacy project. That's the second album.
Now, you brought up an important point that I've noticed in the last few years because of the internets. I spoke to my grandparents. We swapped stories. Yeah. I asked my granddad, hey, what was the 50s like? You know, what were the 60s like? How you saw California change and grow? Like, how was that? Now, do kids even talk to their grandparents anymore? Like, now that they have the internet, like, do they even ask those questions? Are kids still interested by their family history like that? I feel like we've lost that.
I mean, when I look at my nieces and my nephew, and I look at my friends and their nieces, they are very intrigued and interested in their grandparents.
That's great.
They are asking the questions.
Our generation, though, I think it skipped me and Joe and our people because we was, I don't know, the internet was like, leave me alone, Grandpa. I'm trying to play Doom.
But also, I think our generation was told, you know, it's better to be seen and not heard. Don't ask too many questions. Keep your head down. Stay out of the way. Where kids today are like, no, I want to know the answer to that. You know, and so I'm finding, even though I'm the one doing the research, I have my eldest niece is 17, and she'll low key just be like, so who's that person, Auntie? You know, so what's their story? You know, so I just have to be real chill about sharing the info. You know,
she's going to be the historian when you are done.
Exactly. Hopefully,
gotta plant that seed now.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
So you're having fun. You're on tour. You're floating around the neighborhood, right? Floating around the whole. Well, you're not coming to where we are, which is unfortunate.
No LA dates? Oh,
it would be.
You're
not going to make that. You're not going to make that 2,000-mile drive for us.
Not yet. We're looking at the fall. I believe we might be out that way.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good time to be here.